Good evening. I have 7 o'clock, and I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mr. Greg David,
Present.
Mr. Tyler Dean,
Here.
Ms. Emily Hamburg,
Here.
Mr. Brandon McIntosh,
Present.
and Mr. Mike Proctor.
Here.
And you have a quorum, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you. This evening, we have retired Pastor Gary Green from Gospel Assembly Church to lead us in prayer. Pastor Green.
Thank you, Mayor Bernard. Just want to take a second and thank the council for recognizing the importance of prayer. It's a pleasure being with you tonight. Everyone that'd like to pray with us, let's bow our heads, close our eyes, and let's approach our Heavenly Father. God in heaven, what a wonder you are. We must always be thankful for your Son, Jesus Christ, coming and paying the price for sin that we might have eternal life. And God, we thank you for those who want to serve. We just ask for your divine grace on each council member and our mayor as they work together in unity and harmony for the betterment of this community. We must thank you, Lord, for how you've prospered the Bel Aire community under their direction. And for all the blessings you've bestowed upon them, we give you all the praise and glory. And for the future, we ask for your continued covering and blessing over us. Bring prosperity, revenue, people who want to work together to our community. We give you all the glory, Father. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please join me in pledge of allegiance to the American flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening, we have a proclamation for Memorial Day, which is Monday. I'll get this up on my computer if I get it to cooperate. Okay, so to the citizens of Bel Aire, Kansas, greetings. Whereas in 1868, Memorial Day has been uniquely an American day of remembrance on which we pay our respects and honor the memory of more than 1 million Americans who died in battle and made the ultimate sacrifice for our country and our freedoms. And whereas in keeping with the traditions that we have preceded us, many of us have friends and family members who have selflessly given themselves to the future of this great nation and who we honor on this day. And whereas these soldiers were someone's child, spouse, parent, and it is important that we remember every day in this great nation that our freedom came at a price. And whereas veterans have bravely served in all parts of the world, not only fighting for our freedoms, but for all mankind. And whereas the city of Bel Aire, Kansas joins with all cities, all other cities throughout the state of Kansas and the United States of America in honoring those who have given their lives and recognizing that their sacrifices were noble, their heroism unparalleled, and their dedication to God and country unforgettable. Now, therefore, I, Jim Benage, by the virtue of power and authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Bel Aire, do hereby proclaim May 25th as Memorial Day in the city of Bel Aire and do urge all our citizens to join in remembrance of our veterans. Move on now to determine agenda additions. Do we have any agenda additions to discuss?
The only one that we did is a technical cleanup of the Waste Connections contract.
Okay.
It was sent out and a paper copy was provided.
Okay. I've not seen the paper copy. I saw the summary, but I didn't see a paper copy. But okay.
Must have
Okay.
been a summary. The agenda is published online.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. So we do have an updated contract, and it was just correcting some technical errors. So it doesn't change the intent of the contract from what I understand. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda. So my notes right here. Okay, so this contains only the minutes from last city council meeting on May 5th, 2026. Anyone want to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. David,
a motion to approve the consent agenda is listed and authorize the mayor to sign.
I'll second.
motion by Mr. David, a second by Mr. Dean. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Next item is discussion and approval of appropriations ordinance. This ordinance encompasses expenses from April 29th through May 12th. Expenditures amount to $1,281,000. Of the reported expenses, $61,044 are infrastructure costs for new developments, and these costs are paid through special assessments.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Hamburg,
I make a motion to approve appropriations ordinance number 26-09.
I'll second.
motion by Ms. Hamburg, a second by Mr. McIntosh. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries 5-0. The next item is city requested appearances. This is a late ad, but Luis Rodriguez, president of Bel Aire's Chamber of Commerce, is asked to speak, and I think Mr. Gary Neal is accompanying him. So Mr. Neal and Mr. Luis Rodriguez, please come to the podium and tell us what you have to say.
I am Gary O'Neill. I live at 4967 North Hillcrest here in Bel Aire. And I wanted to speak just briefly about a little historical. I know we have a couple of new members on the chamber, about the chamber relationship with the city. Many years ago, there was no chamber, and all the events in the city were put on by a special events committee that was made up of local citizens. And over the years, we had long parades, 3/4-mile long parades. We had floats in the parades. We had bicycles, all the children decorate bicycles in the parades. And we had all the politicians there, of course, always show up for our parades. But over the years, the people that volunteered to put on the events for the city either passed on or they got to a point where they no longer could devote the time that was necessary to do it. The chamber here was formed in 2009, and a lot of those event things were passed on for the chamber to put on for the city. Initially, the chamber was funded by the city at $20,000 a year. That carried on for several more years, and then 4 years ago, once our membership had increased up to close to 50 members. We're up around 44, 45 members, and we expected to go to 50 members the next year. We reduced our funding for the city down to $15,000 a year, and it stayed at that level for a few years. And we continued to put on the events in addition to the other chamber functions that we provide. This past budget year, we were asked to reduce that to $12,000. That has reached a point where the chamber, our membership this year is still down from where it was previously. Our sponsorships are down from where they were previously. Things are expensive out in the world today, whether it's gasoline, whether it's groceries, or people just want more money to come and put on, be a part of your event. So what we have found that we are running a shortfall this year at that $12,000 funding level. So we're at a point where we either have to cut back on the things we do in our events, or we'll have to seek some more funding from the city. And I just want to thank the city for working with the chamber over the years on this funding, but it's just got down to the point where it's a dollars number, and dollars only go so far. And right now our dollars aren't going to make through the end of the year. And Luis, who's president of the chamber this year, has some information on that dollars and cents that will explain that a little better. I just wanted you to know a little bit about the history of the parades. There used to be a special events committee. Now it's done by the chamber with funding from the city, and money doesn't go as far as it used to. Thank you.
So I know we had spoken previously about, the cost of the previous event, the Spring Fest. But after closely analyzing what we are expecting to spend for the next event, it's just not going to be possible we would make it with our current balances. So based off of our current balances as of May, we're sitting about $7,415, which includes the carryover of the prior year. I know we had kind of talked about it at the end of the last year, kind of what we were expecting to receive from memberships and what we were expected to receive from sponsorships. And unfortunately, given that we are still down, we had not gotten enough to be able to, take care of the events that we were expected to take care of. I ran some numbers and determined that even if we were to reduce the events down to one event, from having both the Fall Fest, Christmas in Bel Aire, and a few of the mixers, if we were to get rid of everything but the Fall Fest, we would still be short. And that includes, we still have to pay Kim her contracted wage to be able to take care of, the necessary functions that she does. She's pivotal in the planning of these events and of the meetings, and also in, what she does to help us gain more members. But essentially what we had come down to was, even if we were to eliminate the mixers and the Christmas event, our current funds would still be insufficient to cover the cost of the Fall Fest. We would still face a shortfall of approximately $7,500, and that's assuming that everything goes as we had expected. So what we're asking you is to help us with the funding of that. The chamber has been doing everything that we can to be able to, increase our member base to be able to take care of these events, but it just has not worked out the way that we have. It is May, we hold our event in the fall, and we're running short on time to be able to make up that difference. That difference being from what we expected. We were expecting to spend, additional $9,000 for those three events, but from what we had expected from last year, the difference comes out to be about $13,000 from what we had, talked about the year prior, what we were expecting to get. But any questions about that? Any questions about what we were asking?
Well, I think our city manager shared your email with the city council. So if there was any questions about that, you could ask those. I think maybe we might be wise to make this an agenda item for like our next city council meeting to discuss more in depth and look at different options and see what we can do. But if they have questions about your email, that would be fine to ask those.
So just to be clear, if you were to receive additional funding in the amount of $13,900, that would enable the chamber to do all of its currently planned activities.
Correct. All of that we had originally planned on. Again, we had planned on the Spring Fest, 3 mixers, which we are happy to, reduce if need be, the Fall Fest and the Christmas in Bel Aire. A lot of folks look forward to those events. We really do want to continue to have those, but that is, if we were wanting to take care of those events, that's what we would have to have.
Okay. Thank you.
An estimate.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Hamburg?
I appreciate everybody's time they've spent, and Gary's time, and Aaron and Greg. Previously, we had an in-depth discussion back in August about this, and have a question. First of all, I came on city council about 6 months into 2022, and I believe at the beginning of that year was when funding was restarted. Either Gary or Ted, how was the chamber funded between 2009 and 2022? Was it zero funding, or how did that work?
Gary, I might need your, I know the city of Bel Aire has been a member. I think the 2022, the pivotal moment was when, and I think the chamber always helped out in events, but in 2022, when we gave them the $20,000, that's when we came up with the agreement to shift the responsibility of the festivals to the chamber, where the expenses come from, I guess.
Okay, thank you. And so, I'll be honest, it's difficult from a taxpayer standpoint to justify this because in my conversations with Ted, it sounds like the city staff could run the festivals on their own. And the thing I was going to point out is that I don't wonder, and I'm open to other suggestions or things like that, if we put too big of a burden on you guys to try to raise the funds and find sponsorships and every time people come in, it's like, we want your money for sponsorships and we've got to charge more for lunch because we've got to, cover that. Like that is
Right.
really hard. Like that's a lot. And then you've got Kim's salary on top of that to cover. So a couple of questions is why do you think membership is down? And it's hard. You can't quantify what is the value of the chamber. What is the value of people getting together? I think one of the downsides, as I see it, is Ted is very available. Like Kelly Ortberg, you don't have to be Kelly Ortberg with Boeing to get a hold of Ted. And so, I think some of the functions of the chamber in other cities aren't as relevant here. Is that so? What I'm trying to get at is what value do you think businesses get out of our chamber, and should we decouple maybe the pressure on you guys for the festival expenses and maybe make you guys more, holding, creating networking within Bel Aire and that sort of thing. I know it's a lot, but just kind of your thoughts on it.
So your question is, why do you think that our memberships are down? Is that the
Right.
core of the question? I do believe that it's a very complicated answer, right? Because we've been talking about this since I had joined the chamber last year, and it comes down to a lot of different issues. So first and foremost, I don't think that a lot of people see what the benefit is of the chamber. So, when we go out and speak, we make calls, we try to get people to rejoin. The question always comes down to is like, what is the benefit? Well, we let them know, we help with connecting the community. If you have a specific request from the chamber, we try to do our best to be able to assist you. But then it comes down to, well, besides, planning these events, what else does the chamber provide? Well, we with the way that things are evolving, based on social media, the way that businesses conduct their business, whether it's from home or have a brick and mortar location, I don't believe that the chamber has been able to keep up with the changes that the world has taken place. So at the beginning of the year, I had suggested something along the lines of like, what if we increase our social media presence? Well, that is partly difficult with what we're experiencing right now. There isn't a lot of us in the chamber. Again, I'm currently doubling a role. Mike has joined. He's a council member and our recording secretary. So it's again, the way that businesses are being run, out of their homes, they don't see the benefit of spending money to be able to come out, once a month to receive the benefit of the talks that we have, the speakers that we have. They just don't see the benefit of that. So again, it comes down to the benefit and also the lack of resources that we face. We have this responsibility of these events, but also have the responsibility of utilizing our own time to be able to gather up more members and more sponsorships. I even try to use what little influence that I have as manager at a credit union to try to get new members who open a business to try to join. And even that faces its difficulty. I don't want to join those two positions. Joining both my position here as president of the chamber and my managerial role at the credit union. So it's a lot of different things. I guess really what it comes down to is lack of resources and lack of volunteers. because even I joined as a part of the chamber kind of on a whim. It was a last minute thing. I didn't join at the beginning of last year. I was maybe VP for a couple months, but as Greg had described it last year, I was a godsend. Like not a lot of people really wanted to become a part of the chamber, and even he had to leave the chamber to take care of his own duties. So yeah, it comes down to volunteers and resources.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask our city manager to put this on the agenda for discussion at next city council meeting. We can have a more in-depth discussion about what we think we can do and what we should do. So if anybody has any input to that, that's fine. Yeah. Mr. Parker.
I'd like to comment that our last board meeting for the chamber was, I guess in the world of business, you call them poor people problems. We're trying to figure out how to come up with money to actually run the events that the city had the chamber take on how many years ago? When was it 2019 or 2009? 22? Okay. So with the cost of how everything's gone up since, now that was when we started taking events on. When did the city start funding the chamber with 20,000 a year? That was the same year? Okay. I look back at, so I'm looking here at the meeting notes from when you guys discussed how to fund the chamber here. And you have Goddard there is giving $10,000 to their chamber. Now, I was on city council in Goddard, and so I know very well how we funded our chamber. 10,000 was the official membership, but that was just for membership. They also gave them about another, I think it was about a total of about $40,000 to put on the different events that they put on. And that wasn't just hard costs. That was with some staffing built into it for event management. Because the reality is you got to have people to run an event. You can't just roll off of volunteers. Otherwise, it doesn't go well, especially the type of event Bel Aire should be able to put on. So when our costs are higher than what you guys are giving us, we're running out of money. That's just it. And on an inflation adjusted perspective, the city's shorting us about 20,000 compared to where we should be to do the same thing. And so, Kim is not going to be with us long. She's a very short-term fix. And so we got to get somebody that can actually help. So we got to refigure how this is working because it's not. And I don't feel like the city's holding up their side of things. Ted, how much revenue is collected from businesses in Bel Aire, tax revenue?
Something I wouldn't know off the top of my head, but I can get that for our discussion next council meeting.
Okay. Yeah. Cause I mean, I hear you like as a taxpayer, it's like, okay, cool. But businesses pay an outsized percentage, actually a little more than double what any homeowner does. And so for the city, like, here's what's kind of hard for me is when I see we made a mistake over seed on a contract and in hardly any discussion to spend $40,000 on grass seed. And Luis has to come and ask for more money because we've been shorting them 20 grand this year and 15 several years before. It just shouldn't be a problem. So,
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Dean.
I'd like to say a few words. So first off, thanks for coming and thanks for communicating with us about the issue. And then kind of the history behind the decisions the last few years to lower. So one, I support the chamber. I think the chamber is a vital part of our ability to continue to grow our community, to continue to diversify our businesses, to target retail and commercial, which we have memorialized in our comp plan. So I definitely support the chamber. The reason why we took the approach we did, just to kind of remind everybody, is we were at a point where we're like, the chamber's growing and it makes sense to sort of start marching down our amount that we support the chamber because we expected the revenue on the growth side to offset that. Clearly that hasn't happened, but that was the intent. That was clearly communicated to the chamber. That was talked about in multiple meetings. So that should not be a shock to anybody. That plan was in place. Now, the fact that it hasn't panned out is another discussion point entirely. But I will say, I would never expect as a city council member and somebody that does care about our community, cares about our taxpayers, cares about our chamber as a great partner, cares about our growing businesses.
I would never expect the chamber to be subsidizing our community events. We should be at least covering the cost of the community events, if not more. And I've always had kind of this weird thought that the grant thought, I don't like the way the arrangement is set up. I just don't. It doesn't feel right. I don't think it should be a grant. Personally, I think it should be more based on, hey, we're a founding member of the chamber. We should care enough as the city of Bel Aire to have a thriving chamber that we should be willing to pay to be a member and to be a founding member, which might be something like what Goddard had. It might be a $10,000 number, and that's what we're in, right, every year, because we care and we want to keep growing our businesses. And then the other side of it is kind of what Mike said, and I have thought about this a couple times, like, do we hire out the service of event management or do we not? And I keep going back and forth on that, and I think that's part of the issue. I agree with Emily. I do worry that we are, I shouldn't use the word burdening, because I know that partnership started and it fit for a reason. But I sometimes wonder that you guys, you're so volunteer heavy, and that's kind of what chambers are, with the exception of usually an executive director, which is not usually full time. I do worry that you guys aren't able to focus on businesses and business relationships and doing business events because you're so focused on doing the events, because those are sort of the core things you've been doing the last 3 or 4 years. And I do think that maybe there's a discussion there of, if we were to take back the cost, meaning you don't flow in, we come to some agreement where we're a founding member. I don't know what that'll look like. And then we have, hey, we're taking back those costs. That does not mean that the Lions Club, the chamber, or any other business for that fact or sponsor can't be a part of our community events. That does not mean they can't volunteer. That does not mean they can't be a sponsor. I still think there's a world that works, where the city takes back the running of the event, the coordinating of the event. You guys can still be active participants and volunteers, and you guys won't incur that additional expense. And you guys can focus your efforts on membership growth and business, the stuff that chambers can focus on to grow their membership. Because I do wonder if you have enough horsepower to be doing both. And so that's kind of where my mind's at a little bit. I think we should continue to support the chamber. How we do that might look different. And how we partner might look slightly different, but that's just kind of what's been on my mind thinking about this. And this problem's been going on for a little bit. It's not like your email was the first we heard of this. We knew that it's been happening for about 1.5 years. We knew this was coming. So anyway, that's just my thoughts. I fully believe in the chamber. I do not want the chamber to disappear. I think it's important we have one. I think it helps. It's an investment in growing business in Bel Aire, and it would be a shame if we didn't still have it. So we do have to figure that out. We have to figure out how to support it, how best to arrange it. So that's my thoughts.
Okay. Well, thank you,
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. David.
since I won't be here at the next meeting, I'll just add my 2 cents that I think I concur with the last statement, and the fact that we're putting too much on this fledgling chamber. We need to take those events back. It's obvious that we've overloaded them. They don't need to be event managers. They have other things to do. My only parting question is, if we didn't get any budget increase and we took back the events, where would your budget be then? Do you still need extra funds just to survive?
I mean, that's a good question. I do believe that we still would. And again, I think it has to do with kind of how previous years have been managed. Again, we're talking about the burdening of those events, and not allowing us to be able to more focus on our memberships. I do believe that if maybe for the next few years, we would still be able to, we would still need the funding, because it's not something that's going to change over, the course of the next few months or by the end of the year, that we would be able to find a solution to be able to just simply take care of the chamber's necessities, just excluding all of the events. We would still need, as I believe Tyler had described, a partnership between the city and the chamber. It would still be beneficial for the chamber, even if we didn't have those events under our under our responsibilities, we would still need the help from the city.
Yeah, to clarify, I'm looking for a longer term budget and a plan, say minus the events. You know, what would that look like?
We'd have to put it together.
Yeah.
We could put something together.
Yeah, I know you don't
We
have
can't give you an answer on
today.
that tonight. One other thing, we was talking about communication between the city and the chamber. At our board meeting we had last Thursday, it came to our attention at the board meeting that there is a committee of the city putting together the July 11th 250th anniversary event, but yet other than maybe Mike, the chamber has not been asked to sit in on that. And I received from Ted today a flyer at my house about the event and asking for sponsorships. And here's what the sponsorships are. So this event is asking for sponsorships for events the city is putting on, but yet the chamber's out here asking for sponsorships to put on events, but yet we're not putting on the 250th anniversary event. So we need a little more communication on that.
Yeah, that's the other thing that could be in the plan is where can we help? You know, can we knock on doors? We talked about that last time. Can we knock on doors to help recruitment? You know,
Right.
all part of the plan.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, I think everybody's given some good input, both council members and Mr. Arguez and Mr. O'Neill. I think it'd be a good opportunity to give some thought to this over the next couple weeks, come back with ideas, and we'll grind through them and see if we can't come up with a workable plan that we can do that makes sense for the chamber, makes sense for the city.
Just to clarify, Ted, maybe you know the answer. What does the city currently pay aside from our grant to be a member? Are we just a member because we provide the grant, or is there a charge that we've been
Yeah,
paying?
it's a $250 membership.
Okay.
Okay.
So my idea was do away with the grant and say the city's a $10,000 annual member is what I've proposed, or as a thought of how you might have a consistent revenue from one of the founding members of the chamber. Give that some thought. I think that's a model I've seen at other cities. That might be a way to get rid of the grant, get rid of that formal agreement, and turn into a member. I feel like that's more of a partnership approach than what we've been doing, honestly. So give that some thought, and then also maybe some other models. You might just call a few other chambers and find out what some of their other models are.
Yeah.
I think that'd be worth doing.
Yeah, I know several of the chambers are struggling. I've talked with several of the mayors in the local area, and Goddard and Mays are kind of combining efforts now to try to make theirs work. Park City and Keachai are basically pretty dead. The one that's most vibrant is Derby, but Derby has like 200 people that go to their meetings, and they're very involved, very engaged. So
What funding does Derby
so-
get? Don't they get like $40,000?
they don't get any
Actually-
funding from the city.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor. Actually, no, they are self-sustaining.
They are, Derby
But
is?
I think what's really different is they've been able to actually create a really great ecosystem. And the other
Right.
comment was
Yeah.
it's for a chamber, it's really helpful to be able to serve the community. But I do think if there was more dedicated, and that's part of the rub, I think, on the staffing side for the chamber, is how do you afford a quality person, because Kim's very part-time
Mhm.
and she's
She's putting less hours than we budgeted when we put together an interim executive director. I mean, a part-time executive director, she's putting in less hours than what we budgeted for
right.
when we originally put that together.
So, I mean, from the city's side of things, I think it probably would look a lot better for the city to put on a more robust event and not have to worry about maybe the optics of the money that goes from the city to the chamber, because then we could just put on a real city level event like it should be. But we still got bills to pay to run a chamber.
Right.
And I hope we're open for business, and that sends a big signal.
Right. Well, I'm a member of the chamber. I think everybody knows that, and I'm very much supportive of it. I don't have the answer here. I have my own ideas, but I think that we just need to have a more robust discussion, and I don't want to spend the rest of this meeting talking about it.
A couple more things I'll
Move
add.
on
Because
to
a couple more
other
things I'll add just because it popped up and made me think of this. I have said this before, that there does need to be some serious thought into like retooling it. Like, how does that look?
Mhm.
An every month meeting might just be tired. A quarterly event for a chamber might be better for the size we are. And it also, I would really, really think strongly about how you can partner with the other chambers and the other communities. Like, I don't know if Benton and Towanda have a chamber. They might not. Their chambers might have died 10 years ago. But those communities have the same business needs we do. The drawbacks to when you expand and partner, obviously, is you lose identity. You lose the ability to say, this is Bel Aire's chamber. So there is trade-offs with doing that, and I'm open to that. But I think it is worth thinking, maybe not how you do it long-term, but maybe there's ways just to mix it up, mix some things up, do some, some events that create energy and that bring businesses from across the area. Not maybe every month, but like I said, just kind of some ideas to get the energy moving. I mean, if Park City's struggling, maybe doing a once a quarter meeting with them, like a combined meeting, and rotating the location. I'm thinking kind of like the K254 Corridor Development Association. It's focused on transportation, it's focused on safety, but the way they do it is the members, they support it and they rotate the meeting. It's in Bel Aire, it's in Keachai, and we always have 30, 40, 50 people there. Now, obviously that's a different type of organization, but that model has worked pretty well to engage people, but we only have a quarterly meeting. It's not a monthly meeting.
No.
And I do think that matters. I think people are more willing to kind of go to an event than just this same old tired luncheon meeting. And like you said, they may not care about the speaker that month, but if you do a quarterly, maybe you can bring in a bigger heavy hitter speaker, or maybe you can partner with another chamber or two and make it 100-person event and make it worth going to, and it can drive some energy and some hype. So anyway, I'm just sharing some thoughts. I do think we need to have a plan, but those things have been on my mind, and I've said those before. I'm just repeating what I've said before, but I think that there's some ways that you guys could pick up some steam. But thank you for being here. Thanks for sharing.
I've been attending our community chamber, which is Mays and Goddard, and they alternate back and forth. But when you look at, I don't have it with me, what it costs to belong to our community chamber, it's astronomical compared to what we pay, what we ask our members to pay. I mean, it's thousands of dollars to join their chamber at even the small level. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's have some more discussion.
We have talked with city administrator at Keachai. He's talking with the mayor to see what interest they may have and maybe partnering a little bit with between the two of us, because Keachai does not have currently an active chamber at all.
Right.
So that's something we're working on too.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you for bringing this up, and we'll try to get something on the agenda for for June 2nd, I believe it is, next city council meeting, and we'll have more discussion about it. So come up with ideas, okay?
Mr. Mayor, I know you want to move on, but I'm going to say one more thing. First of all, that was on my list, that going quarterly, we may not be diluting people coming and taking their time. I did have a question for Councilmember Proctor, and I'm interested in your perspective because you've been going, and you weren't here last time we talked about this. So you made a comment about businesses paying twice as much in taxes. We've heard some discussion that, businesses kind of owe it to us to join the chamber because they do business here. But are you saying they pay twice as much in taxes, and therefore, like, we owe them events and things like that? I just want to understand your perspective with that comment.
If you actually look at property taxes and how they're levied.
No,
and-
I'm aware that they pay twice as much. I just wanted to understand
Okay.
what you meant by that.
Yeah, that more than double rate that feeds the city's functions, that's a great economic engine that we need to figure out how to leverage more and get more of that flywheel going. Because the more business we attract to Bel Aire, the easier it is to pay for community center, to pay for.
That's all you were saying. Okay, I thought you meant something else. I appreciate the clarification.
No, all I'm saying is this is an important place to reinvest, where you get way more bang for your buck.
More
You
business
create-
equals spreading
Yeah,
the
you
tax
attract it
base.
in, let
Okay,
it-
that's all you were saying. I thought you were
Yeah.
saying something else.
And
Appreciate it.
to his point, it's actually more robust than that. It's more than double the assessed rate is 25% the assessed rate is 25% of the appraisal for businesses. It's 11.5% for residences. But the other thing that is often forgotten in that whole formula is almost all businesses have a much higher appraisal value than residences,
Oh, yeah.
even for the same square footage.
The density.
Yeah.
Yeah, because how much is that building? We were talking about all the trees last
Right.
meeting.
Right.
That was 100 and how many? What was that,
105 square feet? I can't remember.
No, the value of the building?
Oh, yeah.
Was it like $150 or $150 million building or something like that?
Do you remember what
60
the value
million?
of those buildings were? I don't remember.
I can't
Yeah.
remember, but
Yeah.
it was a very,
Yeah.
huge property value in
Right.
a very dense space.
Right. Yeah. So it's, like I said, it's, to your point, it's actually more than just double. Okay. So anyway, so we'll continue on June 2nd with this. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
And
it.
one
All
thing to consider, part of the reason why we wanted to bring it up as early as we wanted to, there's a lot of businesses that we contract for these events. So the sooner that we can come to, some sort of conclusion, the better. I
Okay.
appreciate your guys' time.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Okay. Let's move on to citizens' concerns. Do we have any citizens that want to speak to council? I don't have any cards, so I seeing none, I'll move on to council member reports. Mr. Dean, would you like to give a report?
I do. Thank you, Mayor. So on May 8th, I attended the most recent K254 Corridor Development Association meeting. It was a good meeting. There's quite a few updates. We always have a packed agenda, and that's probably goes back to doing quarterly meetings, but I really think it has functioned well. There was a discussion about local consult last year. JB Wilson from KDOT gave a overview of that, which was very good. They also had a project overview of the K254 River Valley Road Improvements Project, which KDOT's moving forward with. That's there in Towanda, which is a great win for the corridor because that'll be our first short-term improvement project that will be implemented. That was a part of the corridor management plan.
Oh, yeah.
I know that's a
Okay.
mouthful. There's been work going on, but this will be the first official project that was in that plan. So great. That's a great news. And it's supposed to, I think somebody said that's about $1 million project. There was going to be some geometry changes and a ramp. And so great news for everybody that drives that route, and Tawanda's excited about it. There was also discussion about, we have a committee for the short-term project implementation, or it's a project implementation committee is what we've called it. And Kristen Zimmerman with PEC gave that update. And I also provided some insight as I'm on that committee as well. And Pete Meitzner is the other member of that committee. In any case, we presented that we would like to, every other year, we focus on KDOT local consult, which is sort of for the larger long-term improvement projects. And we proposed to the membership that every other year on opposite years, we do the same thing in sort of a micro level. We do our own sort of local consultant in a way, not that big of a deal. But anyway, same thing. We focus on short-term projects in opposite years. Most people felt very receptive of that idea. I think we're still trying to figure out how much structure needs to be put into that. But anyway, we're working through those details. And then there was also an idea brought up by somebody in the room about a potential of, and it sounds like KDOT was receptive to this, and maybe they've already been discussing this, a potential to do all the short-term improvements in more of a programmed approach rather than having, I think there's like 15 or 16 different locations.
It's a bigger
With
lift for
different-
them. Yeah.
with different types of improvements, things from signing to lighting to pavement markings to geometry, a list of things. And I think the total budget, not budget, wrong word, range of magnitude budget that they put in the plan just to guide things was something around 18 million for all of those short-term projects.
Mm-hmm.
So the concept of doing those as a bundled program and getting them all knocked out at once in one big program instead of doing all these one-offs was discussed a little bit. It's interesting. It's an interesting concept. So we'll vet that a little bit, and we'll probably present that along with a plan to do more of the one-off or two-off approach in the next meeting or so. I don't know if we'll get all of that worked out by then, but we'll see what we do. And then another update on K254 is the next public meeting for the Rock, Webb, and Greenwich study, which has been ongoing. Wilson and Company is doing that for KDOT, is scheduled for June 4th. It'll actually be at Northeast Magnet High School. I believe it's from 5 to 7, if I remember off the top of my head. But that's been advertised, so you'll be seeing that. So please, anybody in Bel Air or anybody in our area, please plan to attend that. And then I attended a meeting on 5/14 with WAMPO. It was our third meeting talking about the behavioral toolkit that they're assembling, that they're going to put resources out there for jurisdictions on safe driving. Let's see. And then one more note I had was safety related. Many of you probably saw on the news a couple weeks back that there was a driver on K254 highway that there was a very scary situation that occurred. There was a wrong way driver, and a police officer had somebody was doing a traffic stop, and this is all caught on his dash cam. The wrong way driver coming right at him, and they cut over. I can't remember what intersection, and so Kansas Highway Patrol dealt with that wrong way driver. The wrong way driver got in the right lane when they saw the flashing lights. Thankfully, they pulled over the person, and thankfully nobody was hurt. The driver was intoxicated, underage, all the stuff. So I really appreciate the Highway Patrol for catching that and before somebody got hurt. So just a reminder to always be aware of your surroundings, especially on K254, especially at night. Things can happen, and especially when drivers are driving the wrong way and they're intoxicated. So please keep your eyes and ears ready. Don't be looking down. Don't be texting. These are the things that really matter. So just wanted to share that really scary situation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Mr. David,
No report. Thank you.
Mr. Proctor.
Yeah, my main report would just be going to the chamber board meeting and kind of hashing all this out, which we just hashed out. So there we go.
Okay. We're not done. We're not done hashing. So good. Mr. McIntosh.
Yeah, I just want to thank Marty and his crew for their continued efforts and work in the Aurora Park neighborhood. I was approached by a citizen with a glowing review, and he was very thankful for their efforts.
Good. Right. Thank you. Ms. Hamburg.
Thank you, Mayor. No report this evening.
No report. Okay, I'll move on to the mayor's report. So I did attend a chamber meeting on May 7th, and I won't repeat any of that information. I think others have covered that quite well. And the same with the K254 Development Association. Mr. Dean has covered all the highlights on that, so I won't cover more on that. On May 9th, I attended the SCAC meeting, which is also in Park City. Meetings right back to back at their new senior center. They're really proud of that. And it is a nice facility. So if you have a chance to go see it, you should. So we had a presentation from Michael Swanky of KWCH TV on Mastering Media. Said most reporters today are very young and do not have the depth of life experience that and knowledge that we may assume that they have. So it's important to be clear so that they have good understanding of the issue, of whatever the issues are that you're talking about. He said also it's best to build relationships and be proactive, not reactive, and give a pretty good outline of how to prepare and engage for an interview with media if you're asked to do that. And I have those notes. If somebody would like them, I can copy them and provide them to anyone that would like them. On May 11th, Representative Bel Aire at the reception for Boeing CEO Kelly Ortberg. And since then, Mr. Ortberg accompanied President Trump to China and yesterday announced that they secured an order for 200 new jets. So this is the first new order in 10 years from China for Boeing jets. I kind of understand that because China's been developing their own aircraft models. I've actually seen those in Shanghai when I was there, and they're trying to get their own civil aviation thing going, but I don't know where they are on that today because I haven't had any contact with people in many years over there. So on May 12th, I attended the WAMPO TBD, and we approved the transit safety performance targets for 2026. There was a discussion of the fact that the 2025 targets were not met and lack of consequences for not meeting them. That didn't really resolve anything, but I did think it gave some awareness that, hey, you're going to set targets, you should plan on meeting targets, right? And we also saw an update by KDOT on the K15 corridor study, and they're proposing a divergent diamond interchange at Interstate 135 and MacArthur Road. And anyone who's traveled that part of the metro area can see the need for traffic flow improvements there. Pretty complicated down in that area. On May 14th, I attended the REAP meeting. We saw a presentation by WSU that was listed as a biomed project update. However, it became more of a presentation on WSU growth. WSU is one of the few schools that's been growing in the last few years. Most of the schools have been declining in attendance. So they're top of the nation for aviation research funding. All research funding has grown from about 65 million in 2016 to about 475 million in 2026. So they're using an applied learning model for research, which really aids in the students in solidifying their understanding of the concepts. WSU has a 77% retention rate of students from Kansas staying in Kansas and 24% retention rate of students from outside the state staying in Kansas. So that's a very good improvement over some of the academic drain that we hear occurring in the state over the last many years. So I do hope everyone has a great Memorial Day on Monday. Remember to thank those we know who have served in the military and remembering those who died defending our freedom. Pray for our men and women who serve our military and for the end of the wars. So I'll now ask for our city attorney for her report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Briefly, I'll discuss a new update with the American with Disabilities Act. The ADA Title II put on some regulations for many entities, especially city and county governments. In 2024, one of those regulations was that city and county governments, their websites need to be ADA accessible. They decided that there was going to be a standard specifically used, and that was called the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.1 Level AA. An acronym for it is the WCAG 2.1 Level AA. I still cannot wrap my head around that acronym, but that is a short version. The things that need to be updated for city websites are things that are called keyboard navigation, screen reader compatibility, text for images, captions for videos, properly tagged PDFs, accessible online forms. These are difficult processes, and many municipalities are struggling with staff, with the technology, making sure they're compliant. The other layer to this is that deadlines were placed on cities with 50,000 or less residents or 50,000 plus residents. Consequently, our deadline was April 26th of 2027. That means staff, you're notified, you need to make these updates to your websites. Some municipalities will contract out to vendors, other commercial companies that are very familiar with these processes. I think many governments have reached out to the ADA and shared, our hands are full. We are trying to get this compliance completed, but we are having difficulties. Consequently, on April 20th of 2026, just shortly under 30 days ago, the DOJ released a new interim final rule saying that for cities that have 50,000 or less, we will give you an extra year. So our new deadline is now April 26th of 2028. That information has been shared with the appropriate city staff and they're preparing for it, but it is just an example for council. Some federal regulations which directly affect the city and staff. We are aware of it and working on it. Thank you.
Another unfunded mandate. Yeah, okay. We'll move on to our city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make it quick. I know we got a little bit of agenda tonight. Really want to remind the citizens and everybody, Cops and Bobbers is this Saturday on the South Central Park Pond. Always a fun event. We'll be closed Memorial Day next Monday. And then as Gary announced and what we're starting to roll out is Bel Aire Night Out on July 11th. So this is in conjunction with National Night Out, which is usually what the cops put on in the city. With it being the 250th anniversary of America, we thought we would combine with the cops and do a little extra for that event. So that's why you probably didn't see it in front of the Chambers event, because it's not a regular scheduled event. But we're very excited. We're going to have a band out there and maybe some fireworks late night. So we will have some fireworks late night. Excited for it. And that's my report tonight, Mayor.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that and appreciate you putting that together and working with the police. We'll move on to ordinance resolution and final actions. So item 12A is proposal for solid waste and recycling service agreement with Waste Connections. Our current agreement expires at the end of May. And over the past several months, our staff and utility advisory committee have been reviewing service levels, regional market conditions, and long-term rate impacts to evaluate the best path forward for our community. So Maria did make some corrections to the contract. There were some bad references that she made. She updated that, and I appreciate your doing that. So thank you. And our city manager and Mr. Herschel West are here to talk about this proposed agreement.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you said, for the past 10 years, we've been working with Waste Connections, and we're here tonight to discuss another contract. Bel Aire is unique in that we have a utility advisory committee. They meet once a month, and a shameless plug, we'll always need members for the utility advisory committee. So if anybody's listening, please sign up. I've worked and reviewed it with them over the last several months, and they did support the contract before you tonight. As the mayor said, Herschel West is here with Waste Connections. He also attended the Utility Advisory Committee meeting, so we've worked tried to work as hand in hand as we can with them. As discussed in my staff report, and I hope you've reviewed it, Waste Connections has many regional advantages, and it's currently serving many neighboring communities such as Derby, Park City, Valley Center, and Andover. Primary negotiating goal was to control long-term rate increases while maintaining current service levels. Worked with Herschel to successfully negotiate a fixed 2.1% annual increase beginning in year 2. That's an average increase of over the 10-year term of approximately 1.9%. There is a fuel surcharge inside the contract starting in year 3. On the anniversary date, if the price of diesel based on a standard index is between $4 and $5 per gallon, Waste Connections will receive an extra 1%. Waste Connections will also receive an extra 1% for every dollar after that. In my research, I did look up June diesel prices on this index. Since 2016, over the past 10 years, diesel prices exceeded $4 one time, and that was June of 2022. Of course, the last couple of months, we've seen an uptick in gas prices. I think that has some other issues going on with it, but I wanted to remind you of that. And the surcharge will not start till June of 2028. Residents, and I think this is important, will still have a choice. Residents will continue to have the option to choose another trash provider if they desired. It's not an exclusive franchise for trash. Core services that remain unchanged: weekly trash collection, curbside recycling, 2 annual curbside cleanup events. We really discussed that a lot. I think Herschel or Waste Connections, sorry if I could say that, really was trying to see if the citizens want a voucher where they had to load up their own car and bring it over to the transfer station. And the UIC kind of said, we really like these curbside cleanups. And Herschel was nice, or Waste Connections, I'm going to do that quite a bit during this, was glad enough to negotiate with us and keep that on. Annual Shred Day, they provide that truck that you see every year at no cost. That'll remain the same. Service the city's facilities. They take care of all our trash and at all our facilities, and support for city festivals and events. One area we did go back and forth on was starting early time in summer months. The contract before you allows Waste Connections to collect trash at 5 a.m. instead of 6 a.m. when temperatures reach 95 degrees. While no negotiations are perfect, I tried to provide a contract that balanced choice, affordability, reliability, and operational continuity. Lastly, I want to thank Maria for her work and review of this contract, and we're here to stand for questions. I'm sure there won't be any.
Well, one of the things I do want to say, I appreciate that we're not going to have to revisit this every year like we've had to do this last several years. Although I really like seeing you once in a while, personal, but not for that reason. So I think that's a good improvement, and I think that you worked well in trying to get a good, appropriate index in there, so that helps with that. I was a little disappointed that we're doing the 5 a.m. trash thing. I really don't understand that. I understand the concern is safety, but we have a lot of people that have to work in the heat in all kinds of professions. And it's, with proper hydration and appropriate clothing, they do well, they do fine. But it's there, and that's where we are. And so I'm not going to ask to change the contract for one item like that. But it is a bit of a disappointment. I just wanted everyone to know that is my perspective. So anyway, others to have questions or concerns, please feel free to join in.
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Hamburg.
I was just going to say, I appreciate this and the consideration about the hassle of trying to look at other providers. People have generally been happy with it. I appreciate the curbside pickup. I think that's great. And even, I know there were a couple of comments about things not being picked up. Waste Connections is great about being back around and catching them if something's missed. I also want to point out one thing. A couple months ago, a resident asked about carry-out service for elderly and disabled. And I want to point out that is in there at $33 a month. And it looks like that's a decent discount from $45 a month. So just what I wanted to point out. I appreciate those points. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. McIntosh.
2 questions. Section 8, paragraph C, the current operating cost adjustments. The current wording of that paragraph does not give the city any allowance to refuse an unreasonable increase request. Is that, I know Ted, I asked you this question over email and you responded that in the past 22 years, I think.
24 years I've worked here.
Go ahead, Herschel.
That I've worked here, we haven't used that. It would have to be something huge. I mean, we didn't even use it when COVID. We even actually gave price breaks. We didn't come in and request a price increase that year. So that's just to cover us if something major happens. I don't foresee it happening. Like I said, I've been here 24 years. We've never used it. We've always used the agreed annual PI that we have in here, and hopefully it doesn't stay where it's at now. It goes down back to where it was. So we won't have to worry about that language.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And then my second question was about the fuel. The 1%, is it 1% of what?
1% of your
the
rate, is your trash rate.
Of the prior year's rate or
The
of the
current.
year 1 rate?
No, so if we're 3 years into it or 4 years into it, whatever that rate is, we add 1% to that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And for your knowledge, we spend about $600,000 a year on trash service. So it's 1% is about $6,000 if you do the math.
And hopefully we won't see those kind of fuel
No,
prices, but
I
we don't have control over that.
Mr.
So,
Mayor,
Mr. Dean.
I did want to add a few comments. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys working. I think I've said that each of the last 3 years that we've had I think you've come and asked for 2% and we've argued over whether we give you 1 or 2 or not. And I made the comment, why are we doing this every year? I really appreciate that we figured out a way to be fair in it for the business and also fair with predictable cost increases to help cover the cost. The fuel adjustment thing, that's a very common thing that a lot of owners use in the contracting world, which is where I do business. So that's a very well-defined, easy thing to calculate. And also, I really appreciate the using the index approach. I think that's a really good way to cover us and to have a defensible position on any cost adjustments that may occur. So if that's all the discussion, I'll go ahead and move to approve a franchise agreement with Waste Connections for 10 years as presented and authorize the mayor to sign.
I'll second.
A motion by Mr. Dean, a second by Mr. David. Any additional questions or discussion?
One thing I would like to say is I want to thank Ted and his staff for it was very easy and awesome to work with him. I mean,
Good.
it's been we started this last year.
Yeah.
But it's been great working with him.
We knew it was coming up, so we said, we need to get on that. So
Yeah.
good. I'm glad you got it.
And
I'm
thank
glad
you
we
for
got
another
it.
10 years.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Move on to item 12B. This consideration of a resolution related to 2026 street maintenance project. And this annual program includes pavement repairs, milling, and asphalt overlay work on streets throughout the city of Bel Aire. Last year, we experienced issues that threatened to stop progress on road improvements projects when it was discovered that more work was needed in subsurface to do the mill and overlay project. So then we needed to get CNDF council approval because the repairs exceeded the manager's spending threshold. So we put into place a similar resolution last year to keep progress moving. This seemed to be effective last year and would like to do this again this year. This authority would apply only to change orders tied to unforeseen conditions within the approved scope and budget of the project. Any changes that materially expand the original scope of work would still require separate city council approval. And all approved change orders will be reported back to the city council at the next regular meeting for transparency and oversight. So, Mr. Henry, if you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, really
Please
just,
do.
I think you summed it up nicely, Mayor. The big thing I want to focus on is kind of, and we have a few new members here, is when they mill a street, you're going to find soft spots. And what that requires sometimes is a change order. And when we have a crew out there that can either demobilize and wait till Tuesdays, or we can have the authority to say, okay, it's $20,000. Let's go ahead and sign it and then approve it next chamber or next council meeting. The big thing in my staff report I wanted to focus on is our current budget for this is $950,000. Right now, the contract's at $679,000. So this does not override any budget authority we have. So if there were to be any type of change order or cumulative change order, we would definitely come back and the mayor and I understand that process and would force probably the contractor to wait until we can call a special meeting or get in front of you. So that's here to answer any questions. One other thing, $150,000 change order is very, 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 very rare.
Yes.
We're talking more in 20 to 30, which is just outside my authority.
Yeah, the probability is if we do any of this, it'll be multiple smaller change orders because they'll find a spot here, we'll go fix it, and they'll move on and keep on going, then they'll find another spot someplace, and then they'll have to fix that and go on, move on. So that's, and the whole purpose is to keep the project moving so we're not delayed months on end because of the timing of city council meetings and such. So,
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Dean.
the only worry I have on this is, and I think it's covered by the way that this is being handled with the resolution and with the way it's going to be approved, is just the thought that, oh, well, we have $150,000 more work that we can do, when it's clear that this is here to cover the things that are unexpected if we need to make an improvement on the fly. It's not to do 150,000 more square yards worth of asphalt. And
We cannot add to the scope.
Right. So,
The
I
scope
mean-
is already stated. We
So, I
can't,
mean,
we're
that-
not adding to the scope.
So that makes me comfortable knowing that it's very specific for the results that we had previously, which were an issue, and we had multiple smaller change orders that just kept adding up. So I get it. And yeah, from the common person looking at this, we have a $950,000 budget. We had a $679,000 quote or thereabouts, and 150K is 22% of that, of the quote, I think, or maybe it's the bigger number. And so that sounds like a big number, but the hope is we wouldn't spend near that. It's just there as a project management tool to help us get the work done, get the roads open quicker for our citizens and all those things, and make sure we're building the project correctly, on all that stuff. So we have the tool to move the project forward. So
Yeah.
I'm comfortable considering all those.
This is especially
aspects.
important with Woodlawn because we'll be doing 45th to 53rd, and you have two schools there. We'd like to get all that done before school comes back in session.
Right.
They go out this week. Hopefully, we'll
Gotta
get
hit
it
it.
all done and
Yep.
before they come back in August. So.
No, I can appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys working with the schools to keep them in the know-how on the schedule too. So.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. McIntosh.
just a point of clarification, is this 150,000 per occurrence or
No.
150,000 total?
Total. No, we cannot exceed the 150,000 because that would exceed the budget limit,
Okay.
and we'd need to get a budget approval to do that.
All right. I'd like to make a motion then
Okay.
to approve this resolution authorizing the city manager and mayor to jointly approve change orders up to $150,000 for the 2026 street maintenance project and reporting the change orders to council at the next regular meeting.
Second.
A motion by Mr. McIntosh, a second by Mr. Proctor. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is item 13, executive session. So note here says we'd like to ask for 45 minutes. So if somebody would like to make a motion for 45-minute executive session.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. McIntosh.
I motion to recess into executive session to discuss with legal counsel and receive legal advice related to pending litigation. The discussion will be pursuant to KSA 75-4319B2 for legal consultation with Neil Gosch, which would be deemed privilege in the attorney-client relationship. Invite Neil Gosch, Catherine Klumsky, city manager, and city attorney. The meeting will be for a period of 45 minutes, and the open meeting will resume in city council chambers at just before
9:55.
say 9:55 p.m.
I have a motion. Anybody want a second? Mr. Proctor? Okay, I have a motion by Mr. McIntosh, a second by Mr. Proctor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, just for
Um,
clarification, did you
okay.
say 8:55 or 9:55?
Well, it's 8:55, so.
8:55,
Yeah,
please. I
Very
said-
good.
He said 9.
Love to hear it.
Because I said 9. That was my error, so I misled him. So, okay, thank you for the clarification. So motion is to be back in session at 8:55. And Mr. Proctor, just to confirm, are you okay with that?
I think that's much better.
Yeah, great. Okay, good. All right, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We're in executive session for 45 minutes. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting back to order. We held an executive session. No binding action was taken. We'll move on to item 14, discussion and future issues. Are there any issues that we need to be aware of for this evening?
On the chamber discussion, would you like that placed in this spot for the June 2nd? Or how would you like that worded? Is it going to be a discussion, or would you like me to put their 2026 agreement on the agenda? I'm just trying to figure, how do you want it placed on the agenda?
Let's have some discussion
Okay.
between you and me,
Okay.
and maybe incorporate whatever anybody else has told you that I'm not aware of.
Okay.
And let's see what we can do from there.
Oh.
There probably I think there's some back and forth that needs to go on with the chamber before you actually say, what did we put on the agenda, right? Is that your impression?
Well, Mr. Mayor, yeah, thanks for asking. So from our board meeting, there's some impending bookings that we need for this event. And part of the reason they popped in was because they need some direction on liquidity, just to know that they can pay the bills.
Okay.
So it would be certainly within our manager's spending authority to solve short-term problems. But I mean, to put it out 2 more weeks puts things in a bind for the chamber to book things for our fall event.
Okay. All right.
Mr.
Then-
Mayor, I just want to ask Ted, you and I have talked. I hate the structure of how we deal with the chamber right now. I don't love it for the city, kind of having this quasi funded thing, but not really our employee, kind of have to police what they're posting and all that. And it's been a burden on them. Is it true that the city staff could take over the events, like in terms of putting them together? That's what you've indicated to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do anything the council asks us to do.
Okay.
And we have the capability.
Yeah, I'll just add, I agree. I don't think a chamber should have to decide between what's considered politically savvy and what would be good for pro-growth of Bel Aire. Because there was a post that some people freaked out about, and I was like, I don't even know about the post. But I don't think a chamber in our community should be worried about posting something that would be pro-growth. So I agree that I think, Ted, the way I would like to see it, if it's on our agenda, is I'd like to see some discussion with the chamber on what a new rate structure would look like on their end, where we get out of the grant business, we get out of being a quasi body with them, because I don't think they should be put in the positions they've been put in, and some way for us to cover for what I see is we could book now. The city just covers the cost of the bookings directly, and we just move on down the road. But the current agreement isn't that. So I get that. We've got to figure out, are we going to rescind that agreement? Are we going to change that agreement?
Mhm.
I would say we just cancel the agreement with the thought that they come back to us on what the structure would look like if that happened. Like, what would their fee structure look like to help them maintain? And then we would take over the costs and the coordination of the events. That's the simplest solution I
It's
see.
just give us a chance to work out something and we'll come back with some sort of a proposal for discussion, maybe a couple options or something. I don't know what that looks like because we need to just talk more detail.
And I definitely want to know what they meant, that they continue to need subsidy. If we take all the events back, I'm not crazy about, giving them a ton of subsidy outside of our membership.
And the only reason I ask, and I apologize for bringing it up, but I'm flying to Austin on Thursday morning and the holiday on Monday. We need to publish next Wednesday. So the conversation probably needs to happen sooner rather than later. Mayor Minaj.
Yeah. Okay. We can have that. You and I can talk tomorrow. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Very good. All right. So we'll work on that and work on what, maybe we'll have some options on the agenda. We'll work on something there. Okay. Anything else? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. David, a second by Mr. Proctor. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Too bad. We're adjourned. That motion carries 5-0.